Welcome back to another episode of Lost in the Farmer's Market Garden Shorts, where today we are talking about this fabulous specimen. Now look at that thing. Really nice. I mean, this foliage is just something else. Now it looks like something chewed on this here, but I mean, am I right? Well, this plant's scientific name is Tucrium viscidum. Lemon and lime is the variety. Now, you'll see this one online, and actually, look at these flowers. That's something to really, finally it bloomed. Took forever. But anyway, this plant's common name is sticky germander. Why it's called sticky germander? I'm not even going to guess. I don't know what someone did in the field with Barry White playing or whatever. I'm not going to even guess. However, it is in the Lamiaceae family, which means it is directly related to mint. Not surprising. You can't see it, but this thing has already produced side shoots in this pot. And its cousin, which I covered in another video, does the same thing. It went from one stem, I actually thought it had died, to 5 stems, and who knows what it'll do next year. I'm just glad to have it. Now, this particular variety is native to Nepal, the East Himalayas, Bhutan, Assam, Bengal, China, and Malaysia. So, not a native plant, but that's okay. You actually will find a listing for it on Plants of India. What's interesting is that there is not much literature for sticky germander. Really, there isn't. There isn't anything in my horticulture books, and there's absolutely nothing. Well, correction, there's absolutely nothing in my horticulture books, and there's very little online. So, it's the great unknown. I need like a lightning strike in the background for that, but anyway. It is hardy in USDA zones 9 through 4. It's hardy in 8A, but it is a deciduous perennial, unlike the other germander, which is an evergreen perennial. This will die back to the ground and will recover in the spring, looking just as fabulous with this sort of broken colors foliage that it's got. Now, its soil pH preference is 6.6 to 7.5, and its exposure is full sun to partial, and I had this in full sun, but it's filtered because it's behind a taller plant, for its own protection against the laser afternoon southeastern sun we get. Its height can be 2 feet, which obviously you can see it's doing the do, and its width can be 1 foot, which obviously you can see it's doing the do. It has a synonym, in theory. Now, this is a theoretical synonym that may be applied to it, and that is Tucrium Stoliniferum. However, upon looking at the Stoliniferum one, it doesn't much look like this, but then again, this is a cultivated variety, so this is probably not what the original plant looked like. Even then, Stoliniferum looks like an entirely different plant, period. Like, radically different. Like, obviously they're not related. They're not even in the same grouping, so I don't know if that's a synonym or not. That may be erroneous information on more than one website. Now, as I said, there is not much out there. There are a few growers selling it, and they're like, it's great, it makes your whites whiter, blah, 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 but they're not really giving specific information. In fact, the lack of information is probably a first for this entire channel. All I know about this plant is from having grown it. Every bit of information I've got beyond that is from the tag when I originally bought it, and a handful of growers' websites, which of course you can't 100% trust. The tag that came with this plant said it's hardy in zone 3. Right. Tell that to my plant. But anyway, so what I know about this plant is, firstly, I have no idea if it's medicinal or not. I could not find any listings. I've not tried it. I've not smoked it. I've not eaten it. I don't know if it's edible. Again, for the same reasons, I have no idea. What I do know is that it is very pretty. I mean, that foliage is quite striking. It's almost like a exotic coleus, which is also in Lamiaceae, for sun. So there's that. As far as I can tell, since it is a mint, these flowers are going to attract pollinators. You can see them in there. They're sort of a lavender color. They're small, but they're in spikes. So there's that. It obviously spreads by underground root, which may go back to the Stoliniferum name, but then again, that might be a mistake. What I can tell is that it definitely can take southern sun up to the afternoon, preferably up to afternoon, but it needs filtration, something around it. It does need regular water. It does react to fertilizer, but very few things don't. As far as I can tell, it doesn't have any pest problems, though something is chewing on the leaves. That could just be the stupid slugs again. Not sure. I have yet to see anything, you know, like caterpillars or any problems like that with it. So it seems to be an interesting but mostly unknown plant for your garden, which is kind of interesting. It just... every experience with this plant is a new one, so there's that. Now, I've grown this plant in the test gardens twice. Originally, it was in the crescent bed with the other Germander, which was rescued from the crescent bed. Actually, it was in the woodlands bed, which was behind the crescent bed, and I thought this would be a great selection. Boy, was I wrong. It did not make it, but the other one did. So there's that. I waited a while to find another one, and finally got another one. It wasn't too expensive. None of them are. So now I'm testing it as a pot herb. Not the kind you cook, but I mean as a plant in a pot. Just to see how well it does, and obviously it's living its best life. Now for you, if you want to get this plant, I'm using regular, plain old, non-fancy potting soil. I didn't add any fertilizer compounds to it or anything. When everything else gets fertilized, it gets hit with liquid fertilizer too. It, again, as I said, is getting full sun up until the afternoon, where it's in the shadow of another plant and or the house. So there's that. It doesn't see... I haven't seen any seedlings come up around it or on the ground around it, so... but that may be next year, so we'll see what happens. I may have to do a redux video and come back to it. But for you, it's just a really pretty exotic plant that you can kind of be like, yeah, that's my sticky Germander, and you don't have one, so forget you, son. And that's really all I have for you. I mean, this video is a little bit Spartan and short, but then again, the lack of information, you can't make something out of nothing. So, if you have any information about sticky Germander or Tucrium viscidum, please post it. I'd love to know about it. Beyond that, if you like this video, please hit like. If you haven't already, please subscribe. At the end of the video description, you will see a link to our Forage blog, and you can hit that up and find out all kinds of funky weeds that you can eat. And with that said, thank you for watching, and as always, folks, keep them growing.